Thanks for joining me today, Jake. This is really awesome having you on here. I've been a big fan of you guys for a while now. I think you guys have one of the best podcasts in the business and the in product. I just picked up four of your rivals this year, and
Awesome.
I'm really enjoying them so far.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's
Um,
yeah, we started that podcast a long time ago, I think in 2018, and then the rival launched that this year. A lot of great feedback with that camera, so it's been really great, and glad you scooped some up.
yeah, I really into the same plan feature. You know how they're all on the same plan,
Hmm.
and it just goes off the usage. So that's awesome to me. So, in case somebody doesn't know who you are, you want to give a quick intro of yourself, Jake?
Yeah, my name is Jake Hofer, marketing director and co-owner of Exodus. Started as an intern in 2017. So I think this January will be 7 years I've been with Exodus. Exodus has been in business for 8 years. So been there for a long time and grew up in Illinois, still live there, and just have always been really interested in whitetails basically my entire life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Now it's you and Chad started the company, or
So Chad actually
yeah?
started the company originally, yeah, and so he's the only original founder of the company, and then I came in kind of shortly after as an intern, and then it's I guess as cliched as the rest is history.
Right, yeah. So does he live there in Illinois with you? I can't remember. I know
No,
he moved
so
recently, right?
yeah, so everyone is in Northeast Ohio, and I'm actually the only one here in Illinois. So our facilities in Northeast Ohio, and then we Zoom every day, and I work here in Illinois, and
Oh,
I
okay. So
I
so Zoom's new to you.
Zoom is every day. Use it every day.
That's awesome. So in Illinois, you sell land up there too, don't you?
Yeah, yep. So I got licensed. Actually, I got licensed my senior year of college, and it took some time to honestly. First off, took some time to pass the test. Took some time to get the ball rolling. I mean, I was fresh out of college, 22 years old, trying to figure things out. And so, I mean, it took a couple of years to kind of figure out just the process, get a couple deals under my belt, have a couple people believe in me when maybe they shouldn't have, and just learn the
Yeah.
entire process. And now it's been really extremely rewarding. I've met so many excellent people. I've learned so much, and I've done a lot of different deals, and it's really cool just to look back even from a couple years ago on how you would handle a situation versus how you'd handle it now, just based off the knowledge that you have. And so I've really enjoyed it, and it's been fun. And I have a little podcast called a Land Podcast where I try to get people to help buy their first farm, and that's been really eye opening. Just the amount of people that have personally reached out, and I think the goal was to help 100 people buy a piece of ground, and I know we're over 50, which is crazy. I would
Right.
never guess. I would have
Yeah.
thought it would take a lot longer than that.
Great. How long ago did you start doing that?
That's so. I think we just did 100 episodes here not too long ago. So it doesn't feel like it's been 2 years, but it's got to be over 2 years. It does, but yeah, I
Okay.
would say
And you
March of 20, probably March 21. No, June. It was
and you
June.
and what year did you get your real estate license?
2017.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And are you just doing land, or you do houses too and stuff?
Yeah, so I do land. That's how I brand myself, but I sell a lot of houses too. It's kind of when I was getting started, those were I could get those listings and I could get those buyers, and so I just learned that process pretty intimately. And now I mean, selling a house is pretty straightforward, but obviously everyone loves selling
Yeah.
land, and that's the fun part. But they all pay the same, so I take the
Yeah.
opportunities I can.
Yeah, I bought 30 acres back in 2016, and um it was a lot of work getting it, but it's so worth it now, especially just even as an investment, because
Yeah,
I had to have it appraised last year, and it's doubled in price now. So now if I
yeah.
could go back and give myself advice as a younger guy, I would have just bought more land, instead of anything else.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, yeah, I mean, you bought it before everything went really crazy in 2020. I mean, the fact that I would have been surprised if it didn't double with just how fast things have appreciated the last couple of years, and the fact he bought it when in 2016 definitely. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing too. Everyone is always like, I don't know, everyone's rightfully so. People are always concerned about the market, and I understand that, and I think that's a
Mhm.
healthy thing. But in your situation, perfect example of like time in the market beats time in the market. Like you just kind of
Mhm.
you bought it when you're ready, and you've held on to it for 7, 8 years now, and it worked out.
Yeah, exactly. So are you primarily just hunting in Illinois this year, or you got some other places to go?
So I actually drew the a coveted Iowa tag.
Oh,
So
did you?
yeah, so I finally drew that tag. I was looking back at there. 2018 is when I got my first point, and then I tried drawing a tag in a lower draw unit zone with 3 points, and they're like, "Oh, you should be able to draw." I didn't draw, and then I tried drawing another
Yeah.
unit with 4 points. Like I didn't draw. So then I was basically to the point where I stuck with that higher draw unit, and I've been out to Iowa about 3 times in the last couple weeks, or I would say since about July. So been out there 3 times, hunting with a friend, Steve Hansen, and really
Mhm.
excited about that. Have some cameras on the farm. I was checking cell cameras before we got on here, and I'm really excited. I've never hunted Iowa. I've spent a lot of time in there, just from whitetail cribs and Exodus, and going out there for
Mhm.
different content trips, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've never hunted Iowa either. I think I'm at 3 points now, 3 or 4 points. So another 2 years, I think.
Yeah,
How did you go about just breaking that down? Were you just you said you're lucky enough to just know somebody that actually lives there, or did you have to do any kind of scouting prehand to go up there and kind of find an area, or you just knew you wanted area 5 or 6 or what?
yeah, I knew what zone I wanted to be in, and thankfully through Exodus we meet so many excellent people, and
Mhm.
basically one of them was a guest. We did some podcasts with him, and then he was on Whitetail Cribs, and I talked to him, and he said basically try to draw this zone, and hopefully we'll find something for you. And so that's basically kind of what happened. And then um, I'm putting a lot of eggs in that basket. We were out on that farm. It's a larger track to me, anyways. It's 200
Mhm.
something, and so I feel like it's gonna hunt really nicely. And if not, there's plenty of public in there, and I'll go stacking around. And I'll probably wish I would have done more preseason scouting
Yeah.
than what I did, but I have a pretty
Yeah.
high level of confidence with what Steve has planned.
What are you seeing on your trail cameras? Are you getting anything back already?
Yeah, yeah. It didn't take long to get some really solid deer. There's one buck I'd really love to shoot, really big, uh, 8 point frame, and this property is a lot of CRP and some timber ditches, but the
Mhm.
neighborhood is really good from what I've come to learn. I mean, we were out there on another trip for whitetail cribs, and ironically, one of the guests used to own a farm near it, and he said that was the best farm he ever hunted. He's like, "That's going to be an
Oh,
awesome
really?
rut." Yeah, he said that's going to be an awesome rut farm. So, I mean, yeah, there's some bucks in the area now, and then who knows what's going to show up in October,
Right.
and then hopefully spend some time there in November. So, yeah, I don't know what to expect, but I'm just ready for the ride. I'm really excited.
So is your plan going into the season? Are you going to hunt locally around your house, kind of the October time frame, and then November kind of shoot up to Iowa for a couple weeks for like a vacation, and then come back?
So it's really not too far from me. So I honestly plan on bouncing back and forth quite a bit. So my plan is to basically any high priority cold front, I'm gonna be in Iowa is the plan. So
Okay.
I mean that's to me like the Iowa tag is number one priority. It's super
Right.
expensive, and
Mm-hmm.
I only get it once every 5, 6 years. So that's number one priority. So basically any cold fronts that are gonna come through, I'm gonna go try to hunt that front for 2 or 3 days, and then back in Illinois work, and then try to
Mm-hmm.
hunt closer to home. And so I'm I'm really excited about that, and I don't know how long it's going to take to fill my Iowa tag. Maybe, I mean, I will follow that strategy until I fill a tag until the end of the season.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah. I've
see.
been kind of wondering about that because I know I've got a couple years before I draw Iowa, but for me, it's kind of a major muscle movement getting up there. I'm right on the Kentucky Tennessee border.
Yeah,
Um, but it's such a it's not a once in a lifetime thing, but every 5 or 6 years is a good amount of time,
Yeah, once
and
or
it's
twice
like,
a decade.
yeah. So it's like I'm not really an outfitter guy, but it's like, do I want to just pay money and go to an outfitter up there just because it is such an experience, or do I want to try to go up there a year prior and just put cameras all over on public, or maybe try
Mhm.
to find a lease or something, or do some door knocking? So that's kind of where I'm at it with it, just trying to figure out
Yeah.
the whole situation.
Well, I think all those are good options. I think because that's kind of I'm not an outfitter guy either, but then you just look at the like with the lease, you don't really know what you're getting. Like there's
Right.
zero history with it, and then
Hmm.
but hanging cameras on some public and like doing some pre scouting, and I mean it's just like anything. The more work you put into it, the more opportunity you're gonna
Hmm.
have. So, um, yeah, I don't. I guess kind of fell into some luck there. But honestly,
Hmm.
if I did not know anyone there and I wasn't sure what I was going to do, I would probably go with an outfitter with the
Hmm.
pure reason of just how little you're going to be able to hunt that state in that area. If it was Kentucky, for example, where you go back every single year as a non-resident, then it'd be different, in my
Yeah,
opinion. But
exactly. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking. I was kind of thinking about doing like some sort of combo where I just dedicate like late October and November to Iowa when I draw it, and then book an outfitter for a week. And if it's hunting, if it doesn't happen, then hang some cameras on public like the summer prior, and
yeah,
then just have that as like a backup plan, and then just move over to that or something.
yeah, yeah. Honestly, yeah, I think that's a great idea, especially even if you're sitting on three next year, you'll have four. Like even next year, hanging cameras and just let them soak all fall. I mean,
Yeah,
I think that would be worth the effort. And it's, I just like getting to
that's a
Iowa
good
too. So
idea.
if it's an excuse to go there for a weekend and to hang
Yeah.
cameras, then it'll be a fun time.
Yeah, I keep trying to convince my wife to go on vacation to Iowa. She's like, "Why would we go to Iowa on vacation?" I'm like, "I don't know, it'd be cool. We've never been. We'll go hang out and see something new."
Yeah,
She's
right.
like,
Yeah. I mean, that's a great idea. I think you guys should.
"Yeah." Um, I think I heard on one of your other podcasts that you said you went elk hunting once, but you didn't
Yeah.
consider your elk hunt an elk hunt or something like that.
Yeah.
What's the backstory on that?
Yeah, I think it was more of a 9 day nature hike is kind of what it turned into. So we did it was really impromptu last minute kind of deal. Decided to do a Colorado over the counter tag hunt,
Hmm.
and I'm from Illinois. I've never at that point I don't think I'd even been west of Kansas before. So if that tells you how flatland I am,
Right.
and had honestly had low expectations going into it, but number one, had no clue what we were doing. Number two, we just it was just you couldn't get away from anyone in the over the counter area. I mean, there was one time where we actually got into like a cow and a calf or whatever, a little, like nothing exciting. And we walked back like 5, 6 miles, 7 miles, and then there's a camp. And it's like that was the theme the
Mm-hmm.
entire time. Like no, you try to get back off the beaten path, and then you run into a camp, and then it's like you couldn't get away from people. And so after that, I started getting points, and I was like, I do want to have a fair shake at a higher quality elk hunt. And
Mm-hmm.
so I started getting points, and I think if you went with someone that had been going over the counter for let's say 10 years or 5 years or 15 years and could have flattened that learning curve, they would have maybe been slightly different. But I mean, we were super green, like we had no clue what we were doing. And so it's just a lot.
It, that's kind of my experience. I've only been once, and I just out of the blue, I get a little over ambitious sometimes. Out of the blue, decided I was going to go to like Western Montana,
Oh wow.
and and I got out there, and I was driving through Wyoming, and I stopped to get lunch, and the lady at the bar was asking me where I was going, and I told her, and she's like, "Oh, you bring a gun for grizzly bears up there?" And I was like, "Grizzly bears?" I was like, "Grizzly bears are like something like you see like once in a lifetime or something, right?" And she's like, "No, they're everywhere up there. Someone just got mauled like last week." So now I'm just like terrified of like these bears on the way up there.
Yeah.
And I get there and my truck broke the first day, so that ate up like 3 days of the hunt. And I had no idea what I was doing, so I just picked some mountain to go to, and like basically, like you said, just walked around for like 6 days, and like basically was just scared that I was going to get eaten by a grizzly bear for 5 days, because they actually had signs. they had signs all over the mountain that were like, "Hey, remember if you're calling elk, you're also calling grizzly bears to dinner or something."
Oh
You know
my
what I mean?
gosh.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know about this, man. And I was so far from the truck by myself that I was like, if I shoot one of these things, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. You know, I was like, I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to make 40 trips. You know, so
Yeah.
I'll,
You're gonna be fighting back grizzly bears with your dead elk.
yeah, I know, I know. So I want to do it again one day, but I think I want to take a guide or something. You know,
Hmm.
I like to do things myself, but I think there's sometimes you just gotta throw in the towel and be like, I need some help with this, man. You know,
Yeah. The big thing for me too is like taking the time. So if you're taking 2 weeks to go do it, I mean, I just want to have, it's not that I ultimately like, I want to go shoot something like that. Doesn't necessarily bother me, but I want to have to go and have a good experience if I'm taking
right?
time away from other things. And so,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know. I feel the same way. It's like, you don't want to go with a guide, but then it's like the reality of the situation is you probably should,
Yeah,
unless you have a lot of time to devote to learning the craft or going with someone that knows well.
I tell you what I did last year that I actually had a blast doing that I'd never done before is I come out to Colorado for work, and during my work I took some time off and I went antelope hunting,
Oh, nice.
and I had a blast doing that. I started out trying to spot and stalk for about 3 days, and I realized that that is way harder than they make it look on YouTube because those things see you forever, man, and it's just flat out there.
Yep.
And so I ended up just sitting on a water tank for about 5 days for like 12 hours a day until I ended up getting one the last day, but
With
it
your
was a
bow?
grind. Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was really cool. It was a blast.
That is
I
cool.
would recommend doing that.
I'm building some points right now for some antelope. So hopefully in the next couple of years I'll go and experience that. I don't know the I don't think I'd be good enough to spot and stalk an archery antelope hunt. I really don't think I would have it in me.
Yeah. I thought that maybe I could figure out how to use like terrain to get them around and stuff, but like where I was at was just completely flat. And it was just like, I don't know,
They see
man.
you
Like,
forever.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't give them enough credit because I couldn't get like half a mile from one. You
Oh
know?
jeez. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Dang.
but so you have pretty. So you say you have pretty good expectations for the season.
Yeah, overall, yeah, I'd say I'm kind of just keeping a loose grip on this year. I mean, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
there's very loose grip, not getting overly excited. I am admittedly excited for Iowa, but for where I'm at here in Illinois, keeping a very loose grip. There's one buck that I've known for 3 years now, and he's super random, and I'm just hoping that to get an opportunity at him this year. But beyond that, just have a lot of cameras out soaking that I haven't checked yet, and then I do have some cell cameras up, and I'm just keeping a very loose grip. I'm very excited, but also I think in years past, maybe you get too excited too early, which means you get a little disappointed too early. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
where I'm just keeping a really loose grip and just riding the wave. Find the biggest killable deer,
Mm-hmm.
keyword killable.
Yep.
Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll find the biggest deer and I have probably a 0.01% chance of killing them. And I'm
Yeah.
delusional. I think I have a higher
Mm-hmm.
opportunity than what I do. So
I did the
that's the
same thing,
goal.
man.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
just the goal.
Yeah. I think as I get older, I'm really trying to work on, like my expectations versus reality because I'll like look at my cameras now and I hunt Tennessee and Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I have cameras all over and I'll be like, man, I just don't know how I have time to kill all these deer I have on camera. You know, I'm like, well, I've got to kill this guy here. So I'll probably try to do that like the first week. Then I'll probably try to scoot down to this other farm and then I'll just hit up Kentucky next. And next thing you know, it's like November 21st. I haven't filled a single tag, you know, and it's just, and I'm just like, do I have any idea what I'm doing at all? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know the feeling for sure. And I was joking with my wife. I was like, well, I mean, I'll hopefully shoot a buck in Iowa early season, get back, kill one like October, and I'll be bucked out in Illinois by November 10th. Jokingly, but I mean, it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
It's fun to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta have a plan, right? And I'll do that too, where um I'll hunt so much of like the early season that I'm almost like burnt out like by November, you know, when you really have to
Mhm.
start grinding like hard, you know.
Yeah.
So But then last year I thought about that and I tried to take it easier early season and kind of like, if I had plans or something to do, go do those and then save my season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's always tough for me too. I don't really, the point where I get kind of, no, I wouldn't say even burnt out, but it's like, all right, this is kind of the level of diminishing returns, like after shotgun season here in Illinois. Beyond that,
Mm,
before that, I'm usually going pretty consistently hard from like late October through November. And but then at that point it's just like, all right, well now it feels like the woods have
mhm.
completely shut down and now it just feels like luck. And
Yeah.
but I know but I have buddies that do find success afterwards and
Hmm.
it's it so I have to tip my cap to them because I haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah. I kind of have a race against the clock because a piece of public that I hunt in Kentucky has this it's an archery only area, but it has a gun quota hunt that's 2 days long. And that 2 day hunt, you wouldn't think that it would mess that many things up, but it's just like I don't know what the quota hunt is, but anybody that applies must get it because people are just camped out at every spot, and they're on every one of my trail cameras after that, and people go in there and set up all their stands and dragging ladder stands around and stuff
uh,
for those 2 days, and it takes weeks for it to go back to normal after that.
I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's definitely one of the challenges of the public, or no matter where you're at, private, of just
Mm,
things that are out of your control, whether it's on the neighbors or it's on whatever. It definitely we could, like we're joking about planning your hunt and killing whatever bucks. Like, well, we're not planning
mm,
on all the other baloney that happens throughout the year, every single year. You don't know what
yeah.
it's going to be, but something always happens.
Hmm. um what was I gonna say? Do you seem like do you think that you overthink your season and your hunts? Do you
Yeah,
tend to do
probably.
that?
Yeah, for sure. I was just thinking about this. Was it? I was thinking, yeah, I would say overall, yes, and sometimes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just the way to summarize
Sometimes yes, and sometimes yeah, for sure.
that. Pretty much, yeah. um, yeah, I think I definitely do that, and I think usually it's tough because you want to be calculated. And then the other thing is too, it's like I don't think I give myself enough of like uninterrupted focused thinking time of like where I'm gonna hunt, like that evening to like like other people texting like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? Or I have these work obligations and then like I really just need to lock myself in a room for like 10 minutes and like leave everything there and like put some thought into something.
Yeah.
But even a lot of times too, it's tough because I feel like it's kind of hard. And then sometimes when you just like follow your gut on like something super simple,
Hmm.
and then it's like, wow, I should have been doing this a lot longer ago. So yeah, I would say overall, I probably overanalyze, and I haven't quite figured out what the right balance is there. But I don't know. Do you ever struggle with that?
Yeah, constantly. I will, yeah, for to paralysis. I have trouble like living in the moment too because I'll be set up in a stand before daylight, before my hunt even starts, and I'll be on my phone looking where I'm going to hunt the next day. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm just like, okay, where are we going tomorrow? What's the next thing? What should I be doing tomorrow? And I've got the
Yep.
whole day ahead of me to like pay attention. Just already living in the future with it. But
Yeah.
one thing I was going to say is I've been turkey hunting for a while. I don't know if you turkey hunt, but I feel like I've gotten a lot better at turkey hunting. By after I killed a few birds, I don't really care if I kill any more turkeys.
Hmm.
And now I've gotten really good at turkey hunting because I feel like I don't care about it that much. You know what I mean?
Uh, yeah.
Like, yeah, like if
That's a
if
great
I
point.
if I do something and I end up scaring the bird off or something, it's not that big of a deal to me.
Yeah.
But it ends up working out more than if I would do nothing usually most of the time.
That's a great point because I think a lot of the guys we talk to that killed us a pile of bucks every single year and hunt multiple states. And that's their exact thought process, like, oh well, get on to the next one. Where I think people who maybe are hunting smaller tracks or like have less opportunity. And it just feels like the world comes caving in when they mess up on an opportunity. And then like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you have that, and then you're going to be down in the dumps for like 2 or 3 days. And then like, so you just lost the day you messed up, the couple days after that, and then you got to get back in the swing of things. So like that. And then you have other people like where they mess up and they're like, all right, well, new spot, new thing. And I think that that's a perfect explanation with how you figured it out with turkeys. It's like you almost have to, like I said, just have a loose grip and just roll with it.
It's hard though because you get so attached to like these big bucks
Yeah.
on your cameras, and you're like get your goal set on like that one, and it's
Yeah.
hard to just let them go and then move on to the next one or something, or a new area even or something.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And I think talking about overthinking things, there was this a specific occurrence last year where it's actually kind of funny. It's a permission parcel, and then it's definitely like a little overlooked spot. And I've always said like I'm gonna hang a stand over there. I'm gonna hang a stand over there. So last year I did hang a stand over there, and it was like right on an edge where I had really good west wind, and I kept observing that it kind of drops off and at the bottom, and then um, I was like, because I was thinking like I don't think I can get away with my wind down there. There's a little bit drop and everything else, and I'm like I just don't think
Mm-hmm.
so. Like playing a little too safe, but then I just kept seeing deer cut the edge of this bottom of this ridge round, and so I literally went home, grabbed my saddle, went in there, and had multiple excellent opportunities. Passed my biggest buck ever, and then it was just awesome. And so that was just an example of like following your gut and don't overthink it, and just go try it. Like, and my thought was like, if
Yes.
I screw it up, I got other places to go. And then it worked out where the thermals were pulling down in this little ditch, and I was good. Like I was good to go. So that's
So
an example.
so that buck you passed, that was your biggest buck. You said that you were down in the bottom actually when you saw him.
Yeah. So kind of, I know people listening won't be able to see it, but I would say I'd be like right about here. So it was really long, and then it was like a bottom of timber, and not very wide, like 70 yards, 80 yards, and then CRP. And so it's kind of an inside
Okay.
of where it starts to go. And then like there was bedding all throughout there. But I wish I could show you the map, but there's like a little drainage or a goalie,
Mm-hmm.
and then my scent would just suck into there. And it worked out perfectly. And they would
Okay.
come off the bedding stage up there because it's CRP, and then a big ag field. And so everything kind of just dumped down. And I saw that from my other stand. And I mean, that was during when it was super hot in November and no one was seeing anything. There was a hot doe in there.
Oh,
And
this
so
last.
like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this last season, everyone was like, I'm not seeing
Mm-hmm.
anything. I was like, I just had, 2 or 3 of my best hunts in a long time. And there was
Mm-hmm.
one particular buck the reason I passed that one was there was a really wide buck that I wanted to kill. I had an encounter with him. He was like 60 yards. I had 2 encounters with him, and then I relocated. I saw him get on a doe one evening, and I just had a feeling that he would be on the other part of the farm to tend that doe because there's an area where the does is freaking stack up in there. So I set up on another spot, which is this stand location that I walked by a million times, and this like it's too obvious. It's too dumb of a
Yeah.
spot. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
just everyone. I think we have to make it more complicated than what it is sometimes because there's people that
A
do get
hundred
it done
percent.
in hard areas where they do have to do
Mm-hmm.
that. But where I'm at, it's not as hard as that. And so deer do dumber stuff sometimes. And so all it is just
Mm-hmm.
logging road intersection in a drainage where a northwest wind, your scent is like, it's just the most bulletproof stand. And I've walked by and I was like, deer aren't going to walk down this. It's too easy. So I hung a stand there against my original better judgment. And then that buck came in and I didn't get a shot off. And I have pictures of him this year, worked a scrape, and I was hunting out a saddle like brand new. I have no clue what I was doing. And I couldn't, there was a
Mm-hmm.
branch that like came up to my thigh. I pulled back on him, and the bottom of my limb of my bow would have hit that branch and I would have missed anyways. But that was an example of just keeping a loose grip and just going for it. And then also not like the reverse of overthinking it. Like that's not going to work because it's too obvious. But in
Mm-hmm.
reality, it's the reason it's obvious is because it did work. So
Yeah,
that's,
I know.
yeah.
I I do that all the time. Like I'll think that like these deer are like super geniuses, and I'll be like, okay, it's 2 days in the season. They've seen the cars there, so unless I go 2 miles back and I sneak and do a big horseshoe around and come, with the wind in my back and then horseshoe into it, it takes me 7 hours to get in there. Then I won't be able to kill a buck. And my buddies, killing a buck sitting on the side of a cornfield who walked 100 yards from his truck too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that's something I'm really thankful too with the people we've been able to talk to, or even the farms we've been able to be on, and looking at some of these guys' stand locations. Or I've had a client had Bill Winky out at his farm, and
Oh
like seeing
wow.
some of the stand locations that he suggested, and it's like it kind of made me feel better because like the obvious spots are sometimes the best spots. Like you don't have to overthink this. Like really easy access in and out, and that's it.
Mhm. Yeah,
And so,
and you know where the deer want to be. You know, they want to
exactly,
go to a spot, you know.
yeah. Just don't be where you're sensible and where they're at, where they're
Yeah.
gonna be, and have easy access. And it's like, wow, it really is that easy sometimes.
Yeah. So you talked about those two big deer last season. Are you pretty big on like historical data? Do you
Oh
do all
yeah,
that kind of inventory stuff with your cameras and keep records and stuff?
yeah. I have this hard drive here on my computer, or on my desk here, has like 5 years of every trail camera I've ever ran, and so I file it by farm, by trail camera location. And then a lot of times, like as I'm getting closer throughout the season, I'm going to go through, and mainly because I'm too lazy, like I'll take the full card and just dump it right on there. Like I don't sort just
Mm-hmm.
bucks or does. I just dump everything on there. And a lot of it is shared permission and other stuff too. So it's like who was walking through there? What was going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like what was the landowner doing? Just to remember, like you can just jump in a time machine and remember that season so much easier, like when you're just flipping through everything. And so I do
Mm-hmm.
that kind of throughout stages of the season to understand, okay, where were bucks at early October, where are they at late October, and then just keeping
Mm-hmm.
an inventory of different bucks. And I have found that to be pretty successful. And so this year, I would say I would have a really high probability of killing that wide buck on some certain dates. However, I might be in Iowa because
Mm-hmm.
that one's going to take priority. So
Mm-hmm.
that will be an interesting thing to see. And but it doesn't always work too. So for instance, that buck that I've had 3 years history with, and the the first year, it was actually the first farm I bought, and there was a camera on there from that was there the year before. I gave it back to the person, and I did look through the card, and there was a nice buck on there, 10 point frame, had some startup character. And I was like, okay, well that was that deer. He showed up on this camera. It was like he was in there a little bit, not a lot. And then after like the third week in November, he was in there a little bit. And then the following year, I got pictures of him. And the first year we hunted it, it was corn. And he
Mm-hmm.
actually spent a decent amount of time on the farm during the rut, like November 7th, November 13th. He followed this really distinct feature. And so I was thinking, okay, well, the following year, which our neighboring field was beans, he was in there early in the season, and he didn't show up until like
Mm-hmm.
December. And so he would like I'm sure he was on the farm somewhere in November, but I did not regularly enough to where I felt confident to go in and try to kill him. This year it's corn. He's been hanging around quite a bit more, and I'm hoping that cover in there, he'll spend some more time in there. And then I personally think that during November, like corn is the preferred food source overall.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that'll keep him bedded a little bit closer. So that has me a little hopeful. So like the historical imagery is important, but you have to think of the multiple steps of like, why was he there that year? And then when you have multiple years history of like, what were the reason he wasn't there? And I have a general idea where he spends most of his time on the neighbors, where they have really
Mm-hmm.
bad access to get in there. And I don't think they go back in there. And I'm kind of on the back edge of that. So we'll see. He's old. He's probably 7. He's a
Wow.
really solid deer. So I'm really hoping to kill him. And we'll see if the historical imagery shakes out from 2 years ago versus 1 year ago.
Well, maybe if you let him go long enough, he'll just get Alzheimer's or dementia or something. You know what I mean? Just start
That's
walking
that.
around randomly during the day.
That's what I'm hoping for. If I can't get it done this year, maybe in 3 years, but he's 10, I will. Yeah.
So, so you talk about corn. I hear a lot of guys talk about their preferred thing being corn, just because the soybeans are great for the early season. If you have somewhere like Kentucky that starts 2
Oh
September
yeah.
this year or something like that, but by the time like October rolls around, they're already on that switch of acorns and corn. I think, you know.
Yeah.
Do you do you ever see them? Do you ever see them bed in the corn? Because
Oh,
I I'm kind of split whether I know that they do or not. I think that they do.
I definitely think they do, and I think they bed in the corn or they will bed like in a waterway in the corn, or
Okay.
here, I mean, where I'm at, there's not always big chunks of timber, but if they're standing corn and a hedgerow going down it, I mean, you walk those in the summer and right on that hedgerow, there'll be a worn in bed. Now, once the corn goes out, they're going to get displaced. But there's another farm that is corn this year that I'm very excited about. And usually when the corn is in, you're going to have an opportunity while the corn is standing. Once it goes out, then your opportunities go a little bit lower until they're, feeding it. It's a really big ag field. So the long and short of it is, yes, corn definitely provides a lot more cover. And I always kind of thought that. And then talking to John Eberhart, I mean, he made it just crystal clear. He's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's exactly what it is. And so he believes they bed in corn or around corn or provides a lot more cover. I mean, it's 8 foot tall, 7 foot tall.
I guess
And
it's not. I guess it's not any different than just like if you let a CRP field grow up all something, and then
yeah,
why wouldn't they go get in that?
exactly. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of corn. I really am.
Yeah. It's so that previous season data stuff. So I started running a lot of cameras probably 3 years ago or so when the cell camera stuff started getting bigger. Um, and I'm amazed at deer that I have seen show up at spot almost at the exact same day every year and then leave that area at the exact same day almost. I
Yeah.
have a buck that the biggest one I've had on camera. I haven't seen him in real life, and I've never seen him during the day on camera, but I've had him show up at the same spot on the same camera 2 years in a row on the same exact day.
It's crazy, isn't it? It happens too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There.
I think they must just know the area of which does are coming in first each year, I guess, and just develop a pattern of what they're going to do, I would think.
Yeah, I think that's definitely accurate. And there's one example of the biggest deer I ever had on camera ever. I knew where this deer lived in the summer, and it was really far away across a major terrain feature. And we're talking like 4 or 5 miles away. And I found out about that deer in the summer, and I jokingly told my dad, I was like, "Would you crap your pants if this buck showed up?" Like, knowing there's almost 0% chance. And got a cell cam picture. I think it was like November 8th or 9th or 10th, like in the middle of the night. And it was this cell camera was over on a cornfield,
Mm-hmm.
really far away, and it just looked like a giant buck cruising through there. And my dad like, "Oh yeah, I bet it's that deer." I was like, "There's no chance it's him." And I had another camera at a lift two on a scrape, and I went in and checked it because I was like, "I want to know what this deer is and see if it hit that scrape." It was that deer. It was that deer all the
Wow.
way far away. And then so then he was in there for a little bit around the peak of the breeding season or the rut,
Mm-hmm.
and and then he went back to where he wintered, or like where he summered. He went back and wintered there. And then the following year, knowing that historical data, he didn't show up on the 8th, 9th, or 10th. He showed up like two. Oh, we didn't get him on camera until like November 12th or 13th, and I actually got another cell cam picture of him, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It was during shotgun season. He was on area we didn't have permission on, and he was on a doe, and I didn't shoot him. He's like 150 yards away, and I didn't shoot him. And
Oh,
I had an encounter with him, and it was because of that historical data. And
yeah.
it was just one of those crazy things. It's like it it definitely should go into your thought process of having
Mm-hmm.
in the back of your mind, especially like a deer like that. You have a short window of opportunity. It's like you're going all in on them and you're hoping for the best. And like I had the encounter with him, but unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to look at that deer for the rest of my life. I shot him
I,
across there.
I'm almost thinking about going back like the last couple of years because I keep all this trail pictures too, and I have them all organized kind of like you do,
Mm-hmm.
of going back and just making a calendar. You know what I mean? Of
That's a
like
good idea.
where the good spots were that day for the last couple of years. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then if I don't have anything that I'm hot on, like why not go sit that spot or something?
I love that idea. That's a great idea. That's a good idea.
um, yeah, I was going to talk something else about previous data, but
I'll just
oh,
say
I know what
this.
to talk. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I'll just say this in terms of there was a farm that we hunted a long time ago, and this wasn't an impressive buck by any means, but it was. I had a camera on on a ag field edge, and we did not get pictures. This was a small track, and it was down to almost the minutes that he walked the same direction on the field edge in the daylight, down to like within 10, 12 minutes. And then we never got a picture of him again. Like that's another, just, it doesn't always happen that way, but like if you like, to your point, if you make a calendar, like
It's
you just
crazy when
need,
it does.
yeah, you just need it to work once, like for through the whole season.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But so when do you start putting your cameras out? Do you do it in July?
A lot, yeah. So I usually put some out in July, and then I still have cameras I need to get out right now
Mhm.
too. So I mean, I would say July, August, and then by the first week of September, I would like to have almost all of them out, and still have some floater cameras in my pocket throughout the season if I find any sign. But that's kind of when I like to do that, and it keeps getting pushed back because like I used to have them out earlier, and I think talking about keeping a loose grip and not getting too excited too early, because I mean, there's a lot of bucks that I've killed. I
Yeah.
never even had a velvet picture of them, and
Mhm. Yep.
I know that's dependent on where you're at in the country, but it's like it's cool to know those deer are there, but is it going to help you in the season? Maybe, maybe not. So
Mhm.
also just a product of getting busier too. It's like trying to allocate your time. Like I
Mhm.
look back at the days where you just go take an uninterrupted Saturday and go check cameras. Like I don't have any uninterrupted Saturdays anymore or uninterrupted
Yeah.
Sundays. And so it's just
Yeah.
a product of getting busier.
A lot of the public, I do have cameras so far in the back that one of the things that sucks about putting them out so early, because I get a little excited and put them out in like late June, early July, is that right when things are heating up, like mid-October, like the batteries will go dead. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and then
Yep.
I got to hike all the way back in there just to go change 8 batteries or something,
Yep.
and come back out. Are you are you putting your cameras in where you think they'll be at for the early season? Are you already pre-placing them for the shift?
So now like it's late August right now. I my trail camera strategy is pretty straightforward. Like I put a lot of them on mock scrapes or community scrapes that I already know about. I have them marked on Onyx or whatever. And then it's where I'm putting a lot of them are like specific terrain features that pinch down deer. And then right now it's like it's so dependent on the parcel and what I'm trying to do. Like for your instance in public where I feel like you probably have already pre-scout a lot of that stuff. I would probably put those out in anticipation of where they're
Mm-hmm.
going to be later in the season. With a lot of these being smaller pieces, like you can just go and kind of shift them around if you need to. But a lot of them I'm just
Mm-hmm.
putting in historically good spots to just know they're in the area and then kind
Mm-hmm.
of have an idea of like where they're bedded or where they're at. And I mean, that's something that I've learned a lot too, where it's like used to chase cameras too much and not
Mm-hmm.
think independently and or like having an encounter with a deer and then like
Mm-hmm.
all right, I'm gonna be here tomorrow because he walked over there and I'm gonna move over there. But it's like one instance like a big buck was following a doe in a creek bed and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go sit there and wait for him to come back. And the reality is like I should have figured or thought where are they going to be feeding tonight and I need to go there and try to like intercept them going to whatever food source they're
Yeah.
going to be at.
Exactly.
So I think
Yeah.
just thinking independently. So I mean, it kind of answers your question, kind of not, but just it's so dependent on
Yeah.
what people's goals are and what they're trying to do.
I'm trying to be more disciplined in, okay, I know this is a good spot, so I'm going to put this camera here and I'm not going to get discouraged that I don't get any pictures and then just leave it there the whole season, because
Mm-hmm.
you never know that might be a late season spot or something. Then you have that information for the next season or something.
Yeah.
Because I think before I would be like, I would put a camera out and like go check it or something in like 2 3 weeks. I got some does or something. I'll be like, okay, I need to move this camera, and I just keep moving it around, and then I don't really know anything about a spot for the whole season.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. It is crazy how that works when you do have one
Mm-hmm.
soaking for a long time. And it's just like, it does seem like some areas have a light switch go off. And it may only be hot for
Mm-hmm.
5 or 6 days, but to your point, if you have your calendar there, you're going to mark that off for next year.
Yeah. So I know that you're a big scrape guy, and So you're making mock scrapes in front of all your cameras too, or are you putting them on scrapes and then starting the scrapes for them early? Are you kicking some
Yeah,
leaves around and
yeah,
rustling
a
some
lot.
branches and stuff?
Yeah, a lot of times, like this weekend, hung a set in one of those spots where I felt it was too obvious, and I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to put a stand here. And there was a scrape that popped up there last year, and so I opened that up this weekend. I didn't even put a camera on it yet, and I will have one there next time I'm out there. But yeah, so mock scrapes where it makes sense, and then I'm just relying on. I feel like you just can't beat a community scrape that's already existing there, and like a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
those locations are not very easy to hunt, so it is purely an inventory camera, and so I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the big thing too. But I've just had really good luck with scrapes in general, and I just think they're so powerful for such a wider window than what people realize or think. And I think there's this notion of once November hits, scrapes dry up. Well, yeah, that might be right for some, but I've had a lot of big bucks
But
hit scrapes in November throughout the month of November and December and January.
well, the way I look at it is, yeah, because I hear the same thing. The way I look at it is, well, they put a scrape there because that's a high traffic area that the most deer are going to see or use that
Mm-hmm.
spot, right? So even if they're not going to the scrape to, leave their calling card or anything, it's there because all the deer are near there anyway. So they should be still using that area, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I love like I got this originally from Dan Infalt. Well, like 2017. I listened to it was like the original Hunting Beast podcast, like episode 1, 2, or 3, something like that. And the way he explained it
Mhm.
made so much sense. He talked about how the scrapes that are just outside of doe bedding, like on the edge of doe bedding,
Right.
those are the scrapes you A want to hunt and B have cameras on. And I tried it that year and it was so true. Like I couldn't agree more. And so that was something I picked up from him. And I truly, truly believe that is such an effective method for inventory and hunting opportunities during that late October and then even the first couple of days of November. Like that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah. And just mock scrapes in general. I just started doing them a couple years ago, and now anytime I put a camera out, if it's just on anything, even if it doesn't have a scrape, I'll go kick the leaves around and like bend a branch or something. And I'm always amazed at how quickly I'll have a deer come in
Yeah.
and look at it and sniff around on the branch and stuff. I mean, do you? I mean, I'll just use my bare hands and crack a branch down and you just kick some leaves. Do you do anything crazy, or you go out there? I've heard guys go out to other scrapes, cut the branches down, zip tie them to another one, and bring some big rakes out and make it like car
I've,
hose. Do you
it,
do any of that kind of stuff too?
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it for sure. And a lot of times too, I've done it where it's like a locust tree. Like obviously that's
Mm-hmm.
not probably but there'll be a scrape already there. But I'll bring some white oak branches and zip tie them on there. And I do think it could help a little bit. But like, but they're still scraping underneath the locust because that was to your point, like the the how the deer are constricted through that area, and that's the most viable option for them. So I do think you can encourage it. But once again, it's like sometimes I think you can just overcomplicate things. But I don't think it's a bad idea to do that. Or I'll bring I do think it's good to like make a visual scrape because I mean they can see that, and then having the additional branches that is more preferred for them to leave scent on. Because I mean, like a locust tree, isn't the leaves are tiny to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
and there's thorns and everything else. Like so, if you can have a little bit of encouragement, I think it'll help to some percentage factorial, but to what I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad idea by any means.
Yeah. I had a buddy who swore by. He lived on in this area that you couldn't hunt, and it was just loaded with deer. So he would go out and find one of these giant community scrapes, and then bring a shovel and dig the scrape dirt up and fill it in bags, and then go take it to another community scrape that's already active. And he said it would make those bucks think that a new group of bucks moved into the area or something. And he said
Man,
that worked pretty well for him. That's a lot of work, though. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
I
That's
mean, if
like
you had
that's
a
some
high,
pre-planning.
yeah, if you had a high priority spot, I could definitely see that being worth it. I mean, that I follow that logic completely. I don't disagree with it. I personally haven't done that, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it'd be a neat experiment to try at least. I think put some
Yeah.
cameras on that or something.
I was always, every year I say I'm going to do this and I haven't done it, would be like keep tabs, make like multiple mock scrapes, like use pine branches for one, use cedar branches for one, use white oak branches for one, use red oak branches, and like try all these different things and just see what truly is what was hit the most. Like what if it mattered, if there was a big difference of
Mhm.
like, well, the white oak was preferred like 5-1. And it'd be hard to measure that on different farms and everything, but
Mhm.
there has to be a best tree. Like there has to be a best
Yeah,
whatever. And so
that they
like I would
like
be
the
curious
best.
to know what it is. Yeah. But it's interesting.
Do you use any scents? Are you a scent guy? Like,
Yes.
urine
I
or anything like that?
um so we used to raise deer growing up.
Hmm.
And so I would definitely take we collected deer urine, and that was like one of my first business endeavors when I was younger. And so I would
Oh, really?
definitely use it. Yeah, I would definitely use that then. And now we don't have any deer, so I don't do it anymore. But I think it definitely made some level of impact. But then I don't know if that was just perception too, because like urine breaks down into ammonia, and
Hmm.
like so I don't know how long like it's really viable and things of that nature. But there's people that swear by it. Like you have guys like Troy Pottinger that absolutely swear by his scrape mix, and you look at that guy's
Hmm.
track record. I'm not here
Yeah.
to say it doesn't make an impact. So um, I
I
personally
think
haven't.
anything that makes someone more confident. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. I think you're right. But I've tried the like the fake dirt, and it does smell like deer. I've tried that.
Hmm.
There's guys that swear by it. I honestly didn't have exceptional results by any means, but to your point, it's like everyone has their thing and they believe in it, and if it works for them, so be it. But
Hmm.
it does sometimes feel like, well, am I missing something here? Like, should I be doing something? And but most of the time, I'm just opening it up and letting the deer do the work.
Hmm. Great. What's your setup this year?
For archery,
Yeah. Hmm.
so I might be ordering a new bow right now. So I go back and forth. I have a
Oh,
prime
it's pretty
center.
late to be ordering a bow.
I know. I have a prime synergy that I bought in 2017. I have a prime Nexus 2 that is 2 years old. I just love my prime synergy. And so actually
Hmm.
I've been shooting my bow a lot here, and I'm actually shooting my prime synergy a lot right now. And I'm shooting the Exodus MMT arrows, like a
Hmm.
450 grain arrow, and single pin HHA. And like I'm the least gear setup guy out of the office at Exodus. Like I just like simple, straightforward things. And I'm not a bow tech. I'm not a tinkerer. So I just want something that I feel confident in, that I can shoot accurately. Like that's, and
Hmm.
I tried the heavy arrow thing for a while, and I personally just did not like the pin gaps of how
Hmm.
like from 30 to 35 was such a big drop. And so I was excited that we started producing the MMT, because that was similar to what I used to shoot and had a lot of success with. So that's what I'm back to shooting now. Three Fletch AAEs hybrids. And I mean, the only
Hmm.
bad thing about the MMTs is they're knock busters when you're practicing. So you gotta shoot at different targets
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah. I think I think there's a lot of guys that went to that heavy arrow thing and then are making their way back to maybe not a light arrow, but something more reasonable
Yep.
than that because of the pin gap and stuff like that. And you guys had a great podcast series about your arrows when they came out. It was really, really interesting about, you know, how straight it goes in is more important and stuff like that, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
That
I
was
think
really
that's
good
so
stuff.
yeah, and that's the thing with archery too. It's like that's something that we've learned is it's hard to it's really hard to change people's mind. Like I think to your point, like people have confidence whatever they've been doing, and if it's been working, they're going to stick with it. And then you look at the science of some of that, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, well, once again, there is a best formula. There is like there has to be something that is best for whoever is shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and to be as close to that with the least amount of work is my goal. And that's why I like our arrow builder. Like I need
Yeah.
arrows. I literally just went on our arrow builder, put it through there, and then I had them
Yeah,
built. And it's like
that's awesome.
it's so easy, so perfect.
Yeah. My unpopular thing that I did this year is I actually switching back from a fixed blade to a mechanical.
Mm.
just because the way that my I I was doing a lot of broadhead tuning, and that I was moving my rest and everything around so much that I don't even know if my bow would shoot a bullet hole anymore. But I would get to my field point, my broadhead at 50 yards, hitting the same point. But there was no way for me to check it before going. You know what I mean? So now I shoot a bullet hole, I slap my mechanical on there and shoot out to 50, and it's the same spot. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I'm just trying to be accurate. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. If I hit a deer this year and I don't kill it, and I can blame it on the mechanical, and I can go back. You know what I mean? Then I'll have an excuse.
Yeah. I saw a meme recently and it was hilarious. It was I think it was a sheep and it had like two corral systems and it's like fixed blades versus mechanicals and it's like and then there was another one like where you just it was basically the essence of people like spend so much time trying to decide what that is and they don't practice and then they end up boning the shot no matter what. And so I think it's
Yeah,
accuracy is definitely what mechanical broadhead are you planning to use this year?
I'm gonna try the Severs,
Okay.
and I bought one of each of the sizes, so I'm gonna see how that goes. I
Have they
like
been flying pretty good for you?
well, I really like them for the fact that there's like this little Allen key,
Mm-hmm.
and you just screw it in there, and then it becomes your practice tip.
So they
So
don't.
it doesn't deploy,
Mm-hmm.
and then all you have to do is when hunting season comes around, you just take the screw out, and then it's your regular
That is
mechanical.
nice. Yeah, that is
Yeah.
definitely nice. I like that. Yeah, I've been a fixed blade broadhead guy for a long time, and the mechanical has been lingering in my mind here this year a little bit, to be honest. And
Mm-hmm.
I haven't quite decided. And that's the same thing. I shot the K2 afflictors, which were for fixed broadhead. I had really good success with accuracy, but it's I think it's whatever you have confidence in. It's like if you pinwheel your deer, like it's going to die. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it
Yeah.
comes down to.
If you hit it in the lungs, yeah. If there's no lungs in it, it's gonna die.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think that's key.
Well, Jake, I want to be mindful of your time here, and we're up on about an hour, so we'll let you go to your next Zoom meeting for the day.
No, I really appreciate you reaching out. I enjoyed this and glad to hear you're starting up a podcast. I think that's awesome. And I like the name Rut Funnel because, it's people. If you are a self-identified rut hunter, it's like, ooh, you're not very good. Like, man, I'm a rut funnel guy at
Yeah.
heart. Like, that's sign me up.
I know, man. I love the early season, but it works out for me.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. November
You
rolls, I'll
get,
be in a rough funnel. That's a guarantee.
yeah, for sure, dude. For sure. Well, okay. I really appreciate all of this, man. And I really appreciate you coming on and being so easy to talk to. There's a lot of guys that that's what's cool about the hunting community is like, you guys are established and stuff, and I can reach out to you guys and talk to you guys. It's not like
Yeah.
anybody's too good for anybody, really.
I promise I am as regular as a guy as anyone else out there. And I'm trying to get better just like everyone else. And I always look for an opportunity to talk to someone that's as crazy about whitetails as I am. So I appreciate the invite. And I wish you the best of luck this season. And I want to hear how your season goes too.
Okay. Yeah. I hope you smash that giant, man.
Me too.
And good
Me
luck
too.
in Iowa. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. See you, Jake.
See you.